Hello there. We are once again coming from the Sandton Convention Centre where the 5th South Africa Investment Conference is currently taking place. And on my screen, when I look, I see that we are preparing for the head of state, President Cyril Ramaphosa, to take stage to address and officially open this conference. But on the back of that, I've invited the chief economist at Antwisa Advisory Services, Mr. Mielani Mkabela, to just give us a background of the shape of the economy on the back of all these efforts that government is trying to attract investment. We're talking about, unfortunately, low economic growth that South Africa finds itself in. And just yesterday, the International Monetary Fund revising downward growth projection by 1.1 percentage point to 0.1%. Of course, unemployment sitting at a stubbornly high, more than 30%, 32.7%. And of course, the load shedding, rolling load shedding, the corruption, all these other problems. Can investors still see South Africa as an investable destination? Mr. Mkabela is here with us. Thank you so much for joining us on SABC News. I've been telling our viewers about the backdrop of the economy. If you were an investor, would you be satisfied with the investment strategy that the country, the government is using to lure investment?
For me per se, I would say South Africa remains the preferable investment destination in Africa, and there will be no other competitive measure for that because looking at our infrastructure, our financial services, you find that South Africa is already developed to compete with European markets.
Yeah.
But still, because we are in constant change in the global community, South Africa needs an investment promotion strategy to be presented to influential and resourceful nations, like you are North America, strengthening relationships with North America,
yeah.
Looking at probably to look at getting a third-party state partnership with European Union as well, while we have BRICS for emerging markets,
yeah.
And that, I believe, it will strengthen our investment promotion market,
yeah.
Or to be a preferable investment destination.
Yeah, off camera you were telling me about the 3 desired industries that you think government should be looking at developing as it tries to get this investment conference. You did mention agriculture, you mentioned manufacturing and also mining. What is so special, if as it were, about these sectors that can help the government? When we look, for instance, at the manufacturing sector, since the time of 2000, the global economic meltdown, it hasn't recovered the more than 1 million jobs that were lost then. Even now, I mean, the industrialist program is really, it's just snailing along. Can we really use that as one of the draw cards?
So when electricity tariffs are high, manufacturing automatically goes down.
Yeah.
So like you can look on those trends from 1980, like when electricity starts to take a different shape, manufacturing started to take a downward like sloping shape.
Yes.
But like what we will need to do in the manufacturing sector or to boost manufacturing sector is we need energy stability or energy security, and that will attract smart factories. It can be in automotive industry, clothing and textiles, and agro-processing as well. So that can only work when electricity is minimum, at the lowest rank minimum, yeah.
And this juncture, I believe that the Minister in the Presidency, Ms. Khumbudzo Ntshavheni, is joining us for this interview. And I want to really hear her thoughts about what you have saying. Welcome, Minister. Welcome to SABC News. Mr. Mkabela here was just telling me about the investment strategy that the government should be using to draw the investment in. And he says that we should look at European countries. Is that what you are looking at? What strategy are we using?
Unfortunately, I couldn't hear the conversation. What does it mean we should look at investment in the European countries?
So, like I was saying, we have BRICS as our strategic partner, which is for emerging markets. It serves another purpose, but BRICS can't invest strategically in South Africa, but we need influential and resourceful nations strengthening our relationships with North America for investment promotion purposes, and as well looking at having European Union strengthening the European Union relationship for investment purposes, because I feel we can be having the other things, but DTI needs to work on the investment promotion strategy for the country.
Minister.
No, I think what he's saying is nothing new. The largest investment trading partners for South Africa, it's USA, and followed by the European Union countries, and then the BRICS countries. So therefore, there's nothing new in that what he's saying. It's already what we've been doing.
Okay.
And the issue that you need to be aware of is that in terms of the economies of the global economy going forward, China is the leading economy globally, and Russia has also moved very high. The members of the BRICS group are leading in terms of growing in their own economies. So you can't sit and say we're not going to interact with them, we're not going to participate. So strategically, we need to find ourselves placed in those markets, in those partnerships as part of the next generation of economy. You cannot deny that China, in terms of tech, they're the leading country in the world. Therefore, you must find yourself trading with them and then increasing that investment. But equally, you must service your traditional investment trading partners, which are the US and EU, and that's what we have done. If you've seen recently, the state visits that have come through has come through mainly from Europe because of those partnerships and the work that have been done. Recently, we had the president of Spain who was here.
And the investment that Spain has made into renewable energy, of course.
Exactly. We've got Finland coming up because that has always been part of the plan. So there's nothing new in what he's saying. It's what we've been practicing. But we cannot wait and say we're not going to participate in the BRICS. But the BRICS are the future. So you need to also work yourself and place yourself strategically in that. If you've seen the applications for those who are going to join, who want to join the BRICS, Argentina, the emerging or strong developing economies in that space.
Yeah, Minister, while I have you here, I'm sure that our viewers at home really want to know how concerned government is, of course, with the issue of the Thabo Bester issue happening and also the stage 6 load shedding. How is this going to impact in perhaps how the investors see South Africa as a brand and as an investment destination? Serious allegations on the part of the whole Thabo Bester case.
No, I don't know what should the investors worry about. Thabo Bester and Nandi-Pai has arrived back in the country. They're in custodial. Thabo Bester is in custody at a correctional service facility, and Nandi-Pai is on holding cells until the NPA processes the appearance in court. And for me, that is one of the things. The police continue to arrest those who are responsible, and we have committed as the Crime and Justice Prevention Cluster to say everybody who's implicated will be arrested and they'll face the might and the consequence of the law. We have done it. Every one of you were saying we will not get Thabo Bester back. We've got him back in the country. We're not talking about him being in Tanzania. We're talking about him being in this country. In terms of load shedding, and we have indicated, and Mr. Ramkhupa has clarified for everybody to say, we given that we're getting into winter and the fleet how they are, what needs to be done and what are the strategies that we're going to implement. And you know that last weekend we didn't have load shedding in the country. There was a suspension because the demand was low, and we continue to work on ESCOM to make sure the Minister of Electricity continues to work with ESCOM to make sure that you deliver what they have to be done and to mitigate against larger losses. I'm sure the Minister had committed that from a particular point we're going to be maximum stage we're going to go is stage 4, and he's got concrete plans that he briefed the nation about in terms of work that's going to be done or work that continues to be done. And I think you need to give government accolades. When we the President announced the Energy Action Plan last July, if ESCOM implemented that by that time, our situation would have drastically improved. But that action plan was only commenced implementation in November last year, and they were aggressive in that. That's why we got to stage 8. But also what is happening is that the partnership with business, and media has criticized us for saying, why do you want a Department of Electricity funded by business? But it shows the investment and the commitment of South African business and confidence in this government and its ability to say if we work together, we can resolve the challenges of load shedding and energy security in this country. And the commitments, and when we were standing here, the commitments of 1.2 trillion have been met, and it shows that, and the cancellations that have been there are the cancellations on the tourism sector, which is a global phenomenon, and the president has announced a true 2 trillion investment mobilization drive, which shows that we are confident in the partnership. Like you have indicated earlier, Spain came and said we're committing on renewables to invest in this way. Finland are going to come. There's going to be another announcement on that space. So we are good to go as a government. And
Minister, let me bring in Mr. Mkabela here about your views on the current domestic challenges, particularly what we've been talking about, the issue of the rolling blackout, stage 6, obviously throttling the economy, which is already quite weak.
I think, like what is needed is the implementation of the strategy and making sure that like we have probably, continuous reviews if it is such strategy working, probably in the 10th of every 3 months up until the 10th of December. We'll need to gauge that and make sure that like the 10th of September, the 10th of of December, we keep the confidence in the country. And if that happens, because there is a director general, a minister, I think probably they will do well from that scale. But we still need investors, because like the current electricity available
factor,
factor, and then when you have that, it is just for the current, but we'll need to look at what we have now, maintaining it, but as well the future, where I would say in the investment promotion that needs to be done much. It's current maintenance and future as well investment for renewable energy or the transition itself.
Yeah. To both of you, I've been asking my guests about the issue. Unemployment obviously sitting at a stubbornly high 32.7%, and it's not showing any signs of really going down. People who are watching us at home who are not working, they're thinking, this investment conference, how is it going to create jobs for me? I've seen it 4 times before. The unemployment rate was still at more than 30%. How are we pushing the investors and the projects to at least open up job opportunities, Minister?
I think what we need to make an acknowledgement of is that the unemployment situation will be concomitant with the GDP growth of the country. And in terms of the NDP, we've estimated that we need to achieve a GDP growth of more than 3% for us to have a massive impact on unemployment. But if you have seen the last report, the labor, what do they call it, the labor force survey of the States SA, it has indicated a marginal growth in employment, and this is consecutive for the last 3 quarters that they're reporting an increase in employment. It's not at the numbers and the scale that we want to, but we've said as government, our focus can not only be on employment, but it must also be on supporting SMMEs to create more jobs, because it's also SMMEs that create more jobs. But also you then have localization, like when this investment comes through, you don't want these people to just only hire South Africans. We want to say who is supplying your, if it's a motor manufacturing country, who's giving you your supplies in terms of SMMEs, so that we can also grow our economy in terms of being the suppliers, just not being the consumers. And that is a triple strategy that we're going to have. But we need to make it very clear that the unemployment problems is not going to be solved overnight. We need to solve the problem, the energy security problem of the country. We need to solve the corruption and crime. We need to resolve because even it affects also SMMEs. We need to solve the logistics challenges that are coming through. We need to solve a multiple of problems that we have so that the economy can grow, and in tandem of that, and growing at more than 3% so that it can make impactful on job creation. But also we need to invest in small businesses. We need to support the small businesses. We need to localize. South Africans must know that you need to buy vehicles that are manufactured in South Africa or assembled in South Africa. You need to buy, me and you must wear clothes that are made in South Africa, all of us, and shoes, those kind of things. We need to, when we consume food, we need to know we are consuming that which is produced locally, because it's only when we start to consume our own that we can then grow that economy. It's a net effect, and then we can, because when you have confidence that you can buy bread, and I don't want to badmouth the big bread bakers, when you buy bread that is manufactured by an SMME around the corner, when you go and buy in a small dealership around the corner or a spaza shop, you are contributing to growing that economy of the country, because the rent circulates in at home more.
Mr. Mkabela, your views on particularly unemployment and also the rising cost of living. Obviously, this threatens even the people who are unemployed with the 350 that the SRD grant that the government makes available or any other grant, and then they still have to contend with the high cost of living. Petrol is gone up, food has gone up, etc.
Investment promotion strategy will drive investment attraction to the country, and that will boost economic growth. And when investment comes to agriculture, manufacturing and mining, which are the three key sectors for South Africa, employment growth will as well come to like a good factor. So livelihood crisis that we speak of is because of unemployment. So when unemployment is reduced to a better number, where I expect South Africa to take unemployment, we have capacity. We are a medium type of a nation. We have capacity to take our unemployment to below 10%. In terms of taking agriculture, manufacturing, and broadly in manufacturing, we have like African Continental Free Trade Agreement.
Yes.
So when you look on Africa and the Africa Continental Trade Agreement, it allows us to produce South African clothing and textile and make sure that like the African countries are using it. Looking at sports, we can have all African countries to use clothing that is manufactured in South Africa. And when we start from there, the brands will be developed.
Mr. Mkabela, unfortunately, we are out of time. As we wait for the President to take the stage, I've been joined by the Minister and the President, Ms. Khubutso Ntshabeni, as well as the Chief Economist at Andwisa Advisory Services, Mr. Mielani Mkabela. And we have been talking about the constraints that South Africa finds itself in as it tries to lure investors into the country. We are at the Sandton Convention Center for the 5th South African Investment Conference, and SABC News will be bringing you rolling coverage hour after hour, and in a short while we will be preparing to hear from the President.